Has been written with the eye on the future leaders. And you are the future leaders. It is to groom future leaders. I've written this so that you all know what are you moving for. What are the challenges which are likely to come. How wonderful.
Jai Dhari Ma, good evening to all of you.
Good evening and Jai Dhari.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening to our youngsters. Pradeep sir, very good evening to you. Very welcome.
नमस्ते मैम.
नमस्ते, नमस्ते. हमारी ऑडियंसेस का स्वागत है. It's a wonderful new session. जर्नी वही है, सेशन नया है. सेशन नया है. We have our youngsters, young children with us today. I truly believe the greatest gift elders can give youngsters is love, is their blessings, and all their learnings, all their experiences, all their wisdom. That's what this session is going to be all about. Mummy is going to, Ma'am, Dr. Kiran Bedi is going to be sharing her experiences from the first two chapters today, Fearless Governance. That's the book. And Sir, Rajiv Sir is going to talk about leadership. We get to know, Sir, let's see some slides. We get to know all about Rajiv Sir. Let's see some slides.
How wonderful. I'm so happy to see this.
Sir, you're a blessed global thought leader. Please share your thoughts. But before that, we'll request ma'am to share a few words, talk about today's session, and then we request you to share your thoughts, please.
Thank you, Rajiv, for joining us all the way from Singapore.
It's a pleasure, ma'am. Thank you.
I've heard you personally. The world has seen you. You've got leadership all over. You've been training all your life and grooming leaders. Today, You have before you young leaders. It's a first such batch before you, Rajiv. Is Shruti, Bhavini, Himanshi, Arshi, Samyata, and Kushi. These are all youngsters. This is the first batch of grooming leadership. We were every Friday, Rajiv, working with children from 14 to 18. But this time we moved after the book Fearless Governance. I thought now it's time to offer this book as a learning book where students are always looking for leadership, ideas, concepts, examples, practical learning, internship. It's a book for internship for them. Read and be with us every alternate Friday as youngsters. So, Rajiv, while I will be talking about they've read the first two chapters of the book. They were given soft copies to Shruti, Bhavini, Himanshi, Arshi, Samyata, and Kushi. But now, while I will offer my practical experience, you are the thought leader. I worked as a carpenter. I'm a carpenter, but you are the master. You are the master who trains the carpenters. I've also been trained by you in many forums. So Rajiv, this is you. While this is for me grooming leadership because they're tomorrow's public servants. They're tomorrow's you, corporate leaders. Tomorrow they are icons. They are the unicorns. So we thought we bring that group which is sensitized early on in life now. So say ये नहीं कह सकते हमें बताया नहीं, हमें पता नहीं. आज हमारा बताया नहीं पता नहीं निकाल रहे इनसे. हमें बताया, आपको पता है, आपने किया या नहीं किया. That means you succeed because you knew, or you fail that you knew and yet you did not apply. So Rajiv, Mr. Rajiv Pashavria, as Saina has already introduced to you, he is I say this again, but he's himself an author of Too Many Bosses, Too Few Leaders. Look at the title. Too many bosses and too few leaders. So you are here to become leaders and not bosses. Boss is a leader, but he's not a boss. He's a leader. And he's a president of Leadership Energy Consulting USA and CEO Stewardship Asia Center. So he is our first very special guest on our very first program of grooming leadership. Back to you, Rajiv. Please steer these youngsters. Where do they go on leadership? What is leadership?
Thank you, Dr. Bedi. It is indeed an honor and very difficult to talk about leadership in the presence of somebody like Dr. Bedi. But I will, in the next 5 minutes, try. And it's just want to clarify before I start. She didn't learn anything from me. I've learned everything from her. So I'm going to repeat what I learned from her, just as a clarification. So with that, give me 5 minutes. I've been asking two questions from my audiences all over the world for 20 years now. Question one, who is the leader of your country? And question two, what is leadership? Okay? Without exception, in answering the first question, they name the prime minister or president. This assumes that the person with the highest authority and title is automatically a leader, correct? In answering the second question, which is what is leadership, invariably they say it is the ability to direct and command others towards achieving some common objectives. Right? So now at first glance, both answers seem totally correct, but they couldn't be more wrong. To prove my point that these are wrong answers, I ask a third question. Who are some of the most powerful examples of great leadership in recent history? No matter where in the world I ask, the same three names come up. Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, and Martin Luther King Jr. Okay, so what is common between these three names? One, they had no position, title, or office for most of their lives. And two, they never tried to direct or command anybody. They never did anything to anybody. Whatever they did to themselves. And that example became the inspiration for others to follow. You see, so the two biggest misconceptions about leadership are, one, to be a leader, you must have authority and power. And these three people have completely debunked that. And two, leadership is doing something to others. Again, they have debunked that. So what is leadership really? To answer that question, we should ask ourselves, what did Gandhi, Mandela, King, or Dr. Kiran Bedi, what were they trying to do within their lifetimes? And the answer is very clear. They were each trying to create a tomorrow that is better than today. And that is the real definition of leadership. It is a burning desire to create a better future. Now, some words of caution. Please understand that any attempt of creating a better future will encounter huge resistance. No one can tell you more about this resistance than Dr. Bedi herself. And I'm sure she'll talk about it later. The problem is, if you try to create change, no matter how pure your intentions might be, it makes people uncomfortable, so they resist it. So the secret to becoming a great leader is not to get huge power and authority. The secret to becoming a great leader is finding the inner strength and energy to stay the course and not give up. That is the essence. So Nelson Mandela did not give up even through 27 years in prison. Why? How? Because he had uncovered the two biggest sources of long-lasting leadership energy. I use the word leadership energy. What are those? One, a set of values, personal values that he would never compromise no matter how hard it got. And two, a deep sense of purpose based on those values. So my friends, the future leaders of tomorrow, if you really want to become a great leader, ask yourselves two questions. That's all you need to do. And keep asking yourself until you find honest answers. Question one, what are my deeply held values that I will never compromise, no matter how much the cost might be to me or my dear ones? Two, what is the purpose of my life, the better future that I want to create for others? What is that? If you can answer these two questions with full honesty as early in life as possible, and if your purpose is bigger than yourself, you will lose fear. If you lose fear, you will not give up. And if you don't give up, you can never fail. Simple, right? Even though Nelson Mandela's wife and daughter threatened to leave him, he still did not compromise his values of forgiveness and reconciliation and his purpose of creating a rainbow nation. When his family finally deserted him because he forgave the white man, he consoled himself by saying, my family is not 2 people, my family is 44 million people. So in summary, leadership is the art of harnessing human energy towards the creation of a better future. And the only way to harness your energy is to develop deep and 100% honest clarity about your values and your purpose. That is the essence. Thank you.
Can we all clap for her? Can we clap for him? See, he's given you the best inaugural message. Best inaugural message. Re-energized me too. Clarified my thoughts too. That's why I said he's my teacher too. That's why he's my teacher too. He might be finding some resonance of whatever he says in my work, but I don't know that because I'm not a conceptual theorist. I'm not a thought leader. I'm a practical person at the moment. I just practice. I just do what is needing to be done. Now it's time, as per the minute-to-minute plan. Students, while we thank Mr. Peshawria for what he's taught you today, I hope you've learned. I want you to introduce yourself and tell me immediately one takeaway which you got from Mr. Peshawria's leadership. Go ahead, Bhavini, your turn. Introduce, where are you from, what are you doing quickly, and now yours. All of you, turn by turn.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bhavini. I am from Jalandhar, Punjab. I am currently pursuing BSc Economics at APJ College of Fine Arts, Jalandhar. And my future aim is to become an IAS officer and to serve the nation. And I really feel blessed today to connect to my mentor, Dr. Kiran Bedi ma'am, and learn from her experience. Thank you so much for this golden opportunity.
Super. Himanshi, you.
Hello everyone, myself Himanshi. I'm 20 years old from Malerkotla, Punjab. I am a CA finalist as well as pursuing third year of BCom, and my articleship is going on in a small firm, and I want to be something which I can be proud of, the true potential of myself, the best version of myself. And my take away from this the learning of 10 minutes was that to find clarity about the purpose and the values in my life.
Super. Very good. Arshi, you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Arshi Sharma. I'm 17 years old and I'm studying science in Sacred Heart Senior Secondary School, Chandigarh. Today, I learned that I should keep working towards the greater good and keep believing in myself.
Great. Samhita, you?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Shamita Pramanik from Kolkata, West Bengal. I'm currently pursuing biotechnology second year, and my goal is to become a scientist to serve my nation. And I would really like take this opportunity to thank my mother, who has been my inspiration, because it is because of her guidance that I'm sitting here with you all today. And my takeaway from this session will be that no matter how worst the situation is, with self determination and correct intention, we can find the solution in the darkest of time.
Very well done. Kushi, you?
Jan ma'am, Jan sir, I'm Kushi Mishra. I'm also an NCC cadet. I'm from Hyderabad, Telangana. I'm studying in St. Francis Junior College, Secunderabad. I learned that leadership is all about deep-rooted values and to find purpose of our life. Thank you.
Super, Kushi. Shruti?
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir. And good evening, my dear friends. I am Shruti Magesh. I am a electrical electronics engineering student from Cheyar, Tamil Nadu. My goal is to serve to the nation, whatever that could be. I should be a part of our nation defense service. And Kiran Bedi ma'am is being my role model from childhood. It is like my dream has partially been accomplished. And what I learned is that leaderships come from the self-discipline. And what we learn.
Carry on. Carry on.
Thank you for giving this golden opportunity, ma'am.
Okay, now what you all generally said. What is that one thing you will all remember all your life from what Mr. Peshavria told you? Bhavini, you. And I want you to listen to each other, because then it becomes 6 in 1. Is 1 is to 6. Because all that he said is, every word is precious. And hearing such like authors, speakers, trainers, corporate leaders, very busy. Every minute is very, very valuable to all of them. You are very, very fortunate that you have a person like him today. I want you to think again. Tell me one thing you will not forget what he told you. Bhavini, you.
I've learned that we should keep focus on others, not on ourselves. There is no self-interest, but we should always think of others for the benefit of others, for the welfare of the society.
Okay. Himanshi, you.
My takeaway was that never ever trade your values and ethics for the world. Be true to that. Be stick to that.
Excellent. Arshi?
Ma'am, I learned that I need to hold on to my values no matter how tough the time gets.
I wanted to get Mr. Peshavria to know how his teaching percolated. I'm looking whether it's percolated, what he said. Samyata?
I have learned that to have a very clear vision regarding what we want to achieve in as a solution.
Kushi?
Self-discipline, ma'am. The word self-discipline is most important for leadership. If you are not disciplined, then nothing can happen.
Shruti?
Ma'am, my family is this whole nation, ma'am.
Rajiv, can I request you on behalf of these students, since by and large all of them have zeroed down on the values, which they'll not, and I think that's the bedrock. Could you please give them a briefly? How can they ensure they inculcate the right values and the values sustain, Rajiv?
Okay, so the values is a very misunderstood term. So let's first get one thing clear. What is the meaning of the word values? Values is anything that is of value to you. So the way to get honest, remember I said honest clarity, not just clarity of values. The reason why Dr. Bedi is fearless is because not only she's clear about her values and purpose, she is fearless because she is honest with herself that this is what is valuable to me, and whatever the cost, I will not compromise. That honesty is what gives you courage. And the purpose is based on her values. Nelson Mandela's purpose was to create a rainbow nation where white, black, colored people all thrive together. So even when his wife and daughter said, "What are you doing? Why aren't you punishing the white people?" He said, "No, I will not do it. My values are reconciliation and forgiveness." He had honestly asked himself. He was not in it for power. He was in it for service. Now, there is nothing wrong with having self goals. But be honest with yourself. Some people want to serve society, you serve society. Some people want their, no problem being Rafa Nadal. Want to be Rafa Nadal, the best tennis player in the world? That's a self goal. As long as it's not hurting society, no problem. So whether your goal is self goal or whether your goal is serving society, be true about it. Emotional integrity, not emotional intelligence. You must have heard the word emotional intelligence many times. Emotional integrity is looking in the mirror and admitting to yourself what you really want for yourself. Nothing wrong with selfishness as long as your selfishness doesn't hurt society. So you want courage, you want fearlessness, you've got to be honest with yourself.
Rajiv, would you tell them where do they begin at this age?
Ask yourself, what is most important to me? Make a list of all those things that are most important to you in life and have a long list. Everything your heart desires. I want wealth, I want power, I want to be able to serve, I want name, I want fortune, I want whatever. Whether it's others focused or self-focused, make a list of everything. Then play a trick question on yourself. Okay, imagine that a powerful entity, let's call him God, says that you can only have 5 things in your life, otherwise I will put you in jail for the rest of your life. So give up everything except 5 things if you want to be free. Now force yourself to give up everything on that list except the 5 most important things in your life. Because if you have 6, you will go to jail for the rest of your life. Imagine this dilemma, right? After you have come down to the top 5, okay, I want you to think about, if push came to shove and I needed to choose between these 5, which will be number 1, which will be number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. Again, with full emotional integrity. Okay, I'll give you an example. Before I did this whole inner engineering work for myself, if somebody asked me what's the most important thing in your life, I would say my family, of course. But you know what? I was lying to myself. When I finally admitted that my work is the most important thing for me and my family comes second, you know what happened? I became a better father and a better husband with that realization, with that honest realization. Again, you should ask Dr. Bedi questions about that. How did she reconcile that dilemma for herself? It doesn't mean that, because I'm saying my work is more important, that doesn't make me a bad person. That realization made me play my part as father and husband better. So that's what I would say. Have that exercise, list everything, then pretend that you can have only 5 because otherwise you will go to jail. List the most important 5 and then rank order the 5 in terms of priority. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you do that with full honesty, you will defeat every crisis in your life. But the key word is doing it honestly.
Okay, girls and boys. Oh, you're today all girls. Hey, Sana, you've been very partial. You didn't get the boys this time. Sana, who was partial? You or Shakira?
we get the boys next time.
Okay, no, we got to have 3 boys and 3 girls. Equal. Okay? But anyway, the girls are getting full attention. Now, girls, before I come to the interactive session on the 2 chapters, the demonstrative learning team has given you a soft copy. Did you get it? Did you all get it? We'll come back to those answering those questions which you may have got in those questions. It will become like practical. I want you to ask all of you one question from Mr. Pashavria, what you still want to ask him before we get into the chapters, because I want you to get the maximum out of him for yourself, which is going to be a life memory. Go ahead. Any one of you raising your hand first? I will take you first. Go ahead, Himanshi.
Sir, I want to ask that you said to get clarity, but whenever I'm thinking about the priority, there is always a duality. Like, the road not taken by Robert Frost, the duality comes in, and that plays a miserable role in confusing us, because some days we want family and some days we want work, some days we want to study and some days we want to have a best articleship experience. Like, there is always someday we want to party with friends, so we don't know what is the priority, because it changes with every day, with every mood, every day. Duality, the dilemma factor.
So, it's totally normal what you're saying. One day I want to play, the other day I want to work, and the one day I want to relax, the other day I want to just, give it all I have. That's perfectly all right. This is not about minute to minute, day to day. What I'm talking about, the inner engineering work of understanding your values and purpose, is for the larger orientation of life. Okay, and especially when you're in a crisis situation, then how do you solve crises? I have seen some very, very important leaders, and I have the good fortune of observing them close and personal. Whenever they have the big crises in their life, they ask themselves 2 questions. Okay, how important is this crisis in my overall scheme of purpose? If it is not that important, let it go. Don't fight every fight, right? If it is really integral to my purpose, the second question, what would I do if I acted according to my values? And the answer becomes super clear right then and there. Right then and there. So no, it's not about deciding right now. Don't feel guilty when you want to see a movie or shoot the breeze with your friends. You are a human being. You have every entitlement to do that. But overall, net, are you a net giver or are you a net taker from society? That's the question you have to ask. That doesn't mean you don't take at all. Take pleasure in life. Because, if you're not happy yourself, you can never be a leader. One of the preconditions of leadership is to be happy yourself. They say, put on your own oxygen mask before you help the next person when they're giving you security instruction in an airplane, right? Because if you don't have oxygen yourself, how can you help somebody else?
So, Himanshi, it's all natural. You can choose. The priority can change for the day. You can unwind. You can have variety in your life. But is it a larger thing that are you continuing to waste your time? Have you deviated from your own real purpose for which you wanted to? Are you spending extra time there rather than what you really wanted to do? That's a question you have to ask. But in dualities, there's nothing wrong. But in duality, there's no drift. It's a choice. So you are not drifting away, right? For instance, having friends is fine. But having friends who are only smoking away and you join the smoking, or you join a drinking, or you join drugging, then you've deviated. So you say, well, Mr. Peshawar said it's fine, you have friends, but friends of what kind? What are you getting and giving? And are you drifting? So that's the key. So going and seeing a movie, it's great entertainment. Might be you get some ideas out of it. Also, it's fun. It's great to have fun. It's great to declutter your mind. But are you correctly budgeting it? That's a point, Himanshi. I thought I'd just clarify. Any one of you else before I get to the chapters? Yes, Samyata, I'll come to you, Arshi. Yes, Samyata, your question to Mr. Prashant.
Yes, sir. So, as you mentioned, that sometimes a group of people doesn't agree with the opinion the leader suggests. So, like the leader can have a thought in the back head that maybe that people's opinion may be correct. So, how to solve that dilemma?
Sorry. So your question is, sometimes people don't agree with the leader, but you said that the leader in the back of her head knows that that person is right.
No, like they can have a thought that maybe the opinions that group suggests may be correct. So how to solve that dilemma?
If you have that thought in your head that maybe the other person is correct, then have the humility to accept it and acknowledge it. And by the way, saying, sorry, I made a mistake is a sign of leadership. Forgiveness is a sign of leadership. Admitting that you were wrong is a sign of leadership. These are not signs of weakness.
And a good leader always listens and is always open to correction. Because what is in the end the purpose of the leader? Purpose is to make to achieve the righteousness and goodness for the larger good. Right? And if he's not willing to listen, that means he's putting his own ego first at any cost and is shutting his eyes. First good person quality of a leader is listening. And if he's open to listening, then he is a leader. But if he's not open to listening, then he is probably again depriving people of what actually he's meant for. He's not a leader. He's only in position, not by capability. So very important capability of a leader is open to suggestion. And if that suggestion is better, he say, your suggestion is better. Can I take yours? And can I give you the credit? Can I give you the credit saying you did it? You said it. It's because of you that I got this. It's very, very important quality of being large-hearted, being appreciative, being receptive, being accepting, right? And also recognizing. In fact, it said in a conversation where the leader, you have two kinds of leaders in a conversation. One is the leader starts talking. The other is leader talks last. Leader talks last. Here is one leader, I'm here meeting hai, ye karna hai, jao. That's one way. That's one style of leadership. Sometimes it may work in the military, you have no time. It may work when you're at war, you have no time. But yet you listen. But that's another style of the kind crisis situations. But when there is no crisis, when you are learning and developing, should you be in a crisis all the time? And you should just be barking orders? Or should you not be saying, yes, subject hai, I want to hear you before I say that? He listens. And then he changes his mind. Maybe he's come with a preconceived notion. He changes his mind and say, you were right. You understand? You understand, my child? Samyata? Sorry, you
Yes,
know good
ma'am.
children now. Our Friday group is all children, but you are adults now. You are the grooming leadership. That's why we call them grooming leadership. Your next question, Arshi, you wanted to ask. Ask Mr. Pishavria.
Yes, sir. So, according to you, what is that one thing which will help us work efficiently under pressure?
Say that again, sorry.
What is that one thing which will help us work efficiently under pressure?
Yeah, so pressure is going to be a part of life. Pressure at home, pressure at work. That's going to be a part of the journey as long as you're on this planet. So again, the people who fight crises, the people who fight stress and fight pressure better are the ones who have a true north. And that true north is the same thing that I mentioned earlier: deep and honest clarity of values and a purpose based on those values. If the purpose is bigger than yourself, you're going to be fine. Because when I get stressed, people who have this true north, they ask themselves the same question. So what would I do right now that I'm feeling this pressure if I acted according to my values? And instantly your brain chemistry changes from anger or sadness to a more calm place. The other thing that helps a lot is developing a habit of 10 minutes a day. Close your eyes and just focus on your breath. I'm not asking you to be a meditator in the Himalayas. I'm saying 10 minutes a day, close your eyes and just focus on your breath. If your mind wanders, let it wander. But keep your eyes closed and stay silent. If your mind wanders, bring it back to the breath. Do it for 10 minutes by the alarm. You will find 7 out of 10 times when you come out of that 10 minutes of meditation, you will have solutions to the problems that you're grappling with. They'll come from nowhere. So just 10 minutes.
Do you know you can even do walk? Walk is meditative. Do you know this?
Walk is meditative. Absolutely.
With your eyes open, you can't stumble, but you can do meditative walk, where you walk, you exercise, you do your fitness, but you let your mind wander, but you're observing your mind. And if you've given a problem to the mind is already at it to zero down on what you need to do. So there is also something called eyes shut closure, which brings a lot of peace, which brings a lot of composure, which actually stabilizes you, right? It settles you down. But a meditative walk with eyes open is also the yogic way, where you let your mind wander, but it's thinking for you, but you're meditatively, you may be chanting a mantra in it, you may be saying a prayer, but you are meditatively walking quietly, not chatting, not talking, not your phone. You're not responding to your phone, you are keeping your phone away, right? So these are possible policy. Anybody else wanting? Okay, Kushi, yo.
Yes, ma'am. In the time of history repeaters, we youth aspire to be history changers. So my question to sir is, how can someone, like how the youth can be dedicated to the purpose of their life selflessly?
Again, you have to first keep asking yourself the question, what are my values and what is my purpose? Why? So there are two ways to lead your life, right? Or live your life, right? One is you were born, you lived for 100 years, you went away, nothing changed in the world. The other thing is to be obsessed with the idea, no, I am born in this world because I'm going to make a difference to this world, however small it may be. Until you find your answer, keep struggling to find that answer. That's it. And one day the answer will appear. And once the answer appears, you start working towards it. One thing I learned from Dr. Bedi a long time ago, which she might not remember teaching me, I asked her a question in an interview, which we had on TV, which was on my website as well. I asked her, you were a police officer, you were a person of humble means, but you've started so many projects, educating rural women here, rehabilitating drug addicts there, so many projects. Where do you get all the resources from, to do all this? And her answer, I don't know, Dr. Bedi, if you remember this, but her answer was, I have never started a project with more than 5% of the resources available. Okay? Never. And I have never closed down a project because of lack of resources. So I asked her, I said, what is the secret? And she stood up and walked 2 steps. I said, I'm sorry, I don't understand. She sat down, again stood up and walked 2 steps. That is the secret. I said, please explain. She says, with full faith, take the first 2 steps. And then the powers of the universe will be behind you if your intention is genuine. Don't worry about the remaining 98%. So point number 1, keep asking yourself the question, how is you're going to, don't think about maximizing your net worth. Think about maximizing your life worth. Because if you maximize your life worth, your net worth will take care of itself. Guaranteed. And once you find the answer, then take the first 2 steps.
I have forgotten what I said, but thank you for reminding me. It's a revision. I didn't know I was that wise to answer that question, but thank you. It's a great revision.
I tell your stories at least once a day to somebody or the other, so I remember them more.
You're a great. That's why you're such a bright author, because you have such great elephant memory. Okay, I have one more question time, then I'm going to come to the chapters you've missed have read. Anybody else wanting? Go ahead, Bhavini, you wanted a question. Oh, Shruti also answer. So quickly, go. Both of you, answer. Both of you ask the question and then he'll answer jointly. Go ahead, Bhavini.
Sir, as a good leader, how can you make positive aura in your workspace so that your team is satisfied with whatever you work doing?
Okay, very good. And the second question, Shruti?
So my question is that being self-determined, if I see the people around me, I feel like losing that situation. So what should I do to get back to that back?
Sorry. So you're saying that if I understood your question correctly, you want to be self-determined, but what happens?
So being a leader or an individual, I have something to be determined and I have to get something. If I see people around me, I feel like losing that determination. What should I do to be self-determined and get back to that situation, sir?
So, okay, fine, great, got it. Let me answer quickly because I know we have to save time for the chapters. So aura, stop worrying about aura. None of the leaders I mentioned, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King Jr. were born with any charisma or aura. And yet they had the maximum aura. So how did that happen? The more Mahatma Gandhi became convinced about his values of non-violence, humility, and simple truths, the more stronger his aura became. The more he stood by his values and said, I want independence for India, but I want it without a drop of blood. The more he was willing to take the blows on his own body to prove his point and live his values, the aura became bigger and bigger. So you want aura? Live those values without compromise. Coming back to, I am determined to do certain things, but I see other people and I get influenced and I feel like giving up my determination. So think about this. All of you are ladies today, right? And we have at least 2 moms in this group, a mom and a mom of a mom here. So here's the thing. When a mother sees her child going in harm's way, something dangerous is about to happen to the child, at that time, the mother doesn't think about her safety. She throws herself in the way to save the child, correct? Almost every mother will do it. And these mothers may not be courageous people in normal course of life. They may be as lack of courage as I am. But when it comes to seeing their child in danger, my God, they get that courage. So where does that courage come from? What can leaders learn from mothers? The answer is love. That love for the child is so deep and so much bigger than herself that she doesn't care about her own life. To lead fearlessly and with determination, you need to fall in love, similarly like a mother, but with a purpose bigger than yourself. That's what you will get determination from. When Nelson Mandela fell in love with the purpose of a rainbow nation, even his family, his wife and daughter, when they disagreed with him, they left him, no problem. So that's the secret to determination.
Okay, now let me come to the 2 chapters, which homework I think you youngsters got, first 2 chapters. And I'm now taking exactly in continuity for where Rajiv left. Do you know the purpose of my Lieutenant Governor Puducherry, the purpose which I had coined before even taking the oath as Lieutenant Governor Puducherry? Did you see it in the first 2 chapters? The purpose I declared to the people of Puducherry while taking the oath and otherwise. Do you remember in the first 2 chapters? Is it clearer or should I share? Should I share? Okay, I share. was prosperous Puducherry. My vision statement and the larger purpose was, what am I going for as Lieutenant Governor Puducherry? And the mission statement I called for prosperous Puducherry. Now, moment you say prosperous Puducherry, it doesn't mean Kiran Bedi's prosperity. It doesn't mean political representatives. It doesn't mean public servants. It doesn't mean, it means everybody who's a resident or who's visiting Puducherry or living in Puducherry or working for Puducherry and in any capacity. Whether it's a child or a woman or a man, it's prosperous Puducherry. When you say prosperous India, what do you mean prosperous India? Where do you mean prosperity? Everything now, and can you achieve prosperity by being greedy? Can you achieve prosperity by being dishonest? Can you achieve prosperity by indiscipline? Can you achieve prosperity by dirt and filth? Can you achieve prosperity by being by the whole area being unsafe? Moment our goal becomes prosperous country, moment say prosperous Puducherry, which means everything. It's like talisman, Gandhiji's talisman, saying pick up that and examine, imagine the poorest man, will it be in his favor or her favor, then adopt that policy. Will it be the talisman of Gandhiji was the poorest person? Will that be in his favor, in his good, then adopt it? So that was when Rajiv said that what is your purpose? When the purpose becomes larger good, everybody, and in that was my prosperity too. Because when there is I am for a cause, I'm for being administrator. But and if the administration is prospering, I'm succeeding. But if the administration collapsing, I may be in that position, but I'm failing because the whole basically my purpose of the administration is unsafe. If people are being exploited, they are being corrupted, their houses are being looted, or the streets are dirty, I'm not succeeding as an administrator. So this is very, very. So what is your missions within? There's a personal mission statement and there's a work mission statement. So and they need to be in alignment. If there's a conflict between the two, they can be. For instance, if a civil servant goes and there's his mission is to be the chief secretary or the DGP as soon as possible. As soon as possible. That's fine. What will he do? I want to ask you. Supposing, and I've seen this, many people, public servants, say, कितनी जल्दी बनेंगे हम chief secretary, कितनी जल्दी बनेंगे हम collector, कितनी जल्दी बनेंगे हम DGP, कितनी जल्दी बनेंगे हम commissioner. तो क्या करेंगे वो? जब जिनकी दिमाग में यही है मैं कितनी जल्दी बनूं, कितनी जल्दी मेरा हाउस बन जाए, कितनी जल्दी मेरे पास ये सारी चीज आ जाए, तो उसका मिशन, उसका काम है IAS. One of you wanted to be UPSC. काम तो उसका वही है. So tell me, सपोजिंग जिसका उसका पर्पस ये हो गया कि मैं जल्दी से जल्दी प्रमोशन मिले, जल्दी से जल्दी मेरा घर बन जाए, गाड़ी आ जाए और मेरा नाम हो जाए और मेरी प्रमोशन हो जाए, वो कैसा काम करेगा? Youngsters, tell me. Himanshi, challenge, tell me. If your purpose is कितनी जल्दी मेरी तरक्की हो, कितनी जल्दी मेरी सब कुछ चीज बन जाए, कितनी जल्दी मुझे जो मिल जाए, जो मेरी इच्छा है, बताओ.
Ma'am, the focus will be on the personal goals, not the goals that he was getting salary for. Like he will not do serve the people, but will try to flatter the seniors, try to make his own position a hold of like connections, the promotion, like anything to get promotions, but not to serve people. Like even if he is serving people, he'll maybe broadcast it, try to get media attention.
So the purpose is pleasing, pleasing or populism, acceptance, not challenge, not sometimes opposition, but acceptance. Please all. And also, what else? I'll tell you later. Arshi?
Ma'am, he or she will be ready to compromise their values in order to achieve their personal goal.
Yes, correct. Personal goal. Amata? Personal ambition?
Ma'am, he'll only enjoy his own luxuries and be dishonest towards the post he has been assigned to.
So it's he or she. Remember, there are many she's also now. Kushi? So if your goal is not of a higher value, it's of personal value only, personal gain only, then what will you do in service?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the person might concentrate only on the self ambitions and not on the society.
Okay, Shruti, can you hear me? Shruti, can you hear me? I think Shruti is not hearing me. Bhavini, can you hear me? Yes, Shruti, are you hearing me? Yeah,
Yes,
carry
ma'am.
on. What's your response?
Ma'am, I
What are your
couldn't
thoughts?
get you.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Bhavini.
The person might get corrupted and
Hmm.
follow unfair means, and ultimately his self growth, emotional growth will also get retarded. Also, the social welfare will get affected.
Now you understand why we're having this session. It's all about grooming leadership. Today, you are hearing what makes you a right leadership, ethical leadership, authentic leadership, transformative leadership, and what makes you, keeps you as a leader for in the eyes of the public, but you're not, you're a failure within. You're not a leader who has no followers. A leader who has no followers is not a leader. You know, the biggest impact of biggest quality of Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, or Mahatma Gandhi was what Rajiv said. They were not in elected positions. The biggest thing is they had the millions of followers. That is what defined leadership, that the followers follow you till the last bit of your road, and even after you're gone, you continue to be followed. Today, aren't we remembering them after hundreds of years they've gone? This is the called followership. They had influence. They influenced by their own ideas, by their own behavior. They were the role models because they were performing, but they were not asking for followership. They were not seeking followership. People were following them because that's what they wanted to see happen in their own lives, or that's what they respected the most. They valued it most. For them, it was very high value. Okay, now quickly on those two chapters, and then I'll pass it on to Saina for a summing up. Okay, Himanshi, chapters you talked of, you read those chapters. What's your question on the chapters? Switch on.
You're mute.
Yeah, you're mute, Himanshi. Yeah.
Ma'am, my question is that you have handled many difficult situations. Be it like in chapter 2, you have mentioned there was rowdyism, the financial corruption, the and also the hesitance of the chief secretary to issue a helpline number. So what is your approach to handle difficult situation? Because we everyone come across difficult situation, and you have come across millions of it. What is your approach to handle that situation instead of running away?
If you read that chapter and you read it, where I asked the chief secretary even before I joined and took the oath to start a phone number which allows the people to report confidentially any corruption, any crime anywhere. And that would become confidential and it will be acted upon. What did the chief secretary say? Ma'am, we
He
already
was
have one. He said, we already have one. I said, if we already have one, yes, but I want another number which will be made public. So he was very hesitant. According to your chapter, what did I do as a leader? I insisted. I insisted. I now used my position to direct. I requested, but when that request was taken, saying, ma'am, or we already have, then I call him up again. Have you got it? I want this number to be made public before I come. Now I ordered. Earlier, I requested. Then I ordered. Right? So that's also leadership. You request also, you suggest also, but a time also comes when you order. And when you order for the right thing. So that's also leadership. Remember, leadership is not all submission or request, right, Rajiv?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That, again, when you're true to your values,
Yes.
you will know when to be autocratic, and it's called positive autocracy. Because you see, the world is going too fast. And if a leader has a vision that I want to make the world better through my values and purpose, sometimes you have to be positive. A positive autocracy means I will be autocratic about my values and my purpose, and humble and accommodative about everything else. And that was the example there, that in her value system, having that free call for the ordinary person to reach out was the right thing to do in her values and purpose for Puducherry. So she had no hesitancy in being a little bit autocratic at that time.
So autocracy is also part of leadership, but it's called benevolent. It's for a higher reason. Okay, Arshi, you read it. What's your question out of those two chapters?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, you wrote that within a week you were ready to take upon the responsibility of a union territory. So, how do you keep a positive outlook towards new challenges in life?
I think this is brilliant. This has already been answered by Rajiv. How do you look? For me, positive is a look. Positive doesn't come now. You also grow in an environment where you always looking at the sunshine. You're looking for every time you are actually facing the sun, and you're doing every morning a Surya Namaskar. You're not turning your back to the sunrise. You are welcoming the sunrise, which means you're looking for sunshine to enter your brain, your system, right? Which basically means it's positivity. You're not looking for the dark side. Look, but it's an attitude. You grow, and it's a minute to minute. It's every day, and every day awareness and alertness. What's going on? What am I thinking? As I said many times, you are two minds. One mind has to watch the other mind. So if you start having a mind, that's where duality is. If you say duality, though, you are in two minds because one mind is watching the other mind and is choosing a thought. So it's a regular watch. And that's when it said, settle down a bit, settle down and ask yourself, how has the day been? Have I been positive? Have I been progressive? Have I made better choices? Have I taken better decisions? Have I applied? It's let it flow. And positivity is also a choice. You can cry and you can smile and you can laugh and you can look at the positive, not and reject the negative. Samit, what was your
Uh,
takeaway from those two chapters?
yes, ma'am. Ma'am, in the book you mentioned that making Pondicherry prosperous was a responsibility for your life. So that was for 5 years. But what about now then?
Now I'm performing this. Am I? Isn't this my responsibility too? Building the future of my country. If we, that's why I inducted Rajiv today because I knew Rajiv would also sow the right seeds for you. You see that? So I have not done it alone. I'm strengthening myself with more treasure for you so that you get more nutrition before you go. I'm performing that responsibility. In fact, the other day, do you know, sometimes I'm performing 3 webinars a day, three, all coming from different educational institutions, morning, afternoon, evening. And I don't say, I don't regret it. I don't deny it. If I have the energy, I want to give as much as I can. That's been my life all along. Okay, Kushi? Kushi?
Ma'am, my question is, as a child or a teenager, what was your vision India?
No, tell me from the book. I'm referring not to my genre. What have you read from the book? Because this is practical class, not
Yes, ma'am.
conceptual on your own. Yeah. Tell me, what have you read? What is your question out of those two chapters? If you read them. If you haven't,
Yes, ma'am.
I'll go to the
Ma'am, as you had a mission, as you had the mission Prosperous Puducherry, what was
okay.
the foundation that you led to be selfless and to work for the welfare of the people of Puducherry?
Tell me, what have you read out of that which you ask? Are you still looking at Prosperous Puducherry? Because I share it all. Tell me, what have you read? What has impacted you? If you haven't read it, no problem. Read it another time. No problem. But this is in reference to the context of the book, because then I will be able to place the answer so that you visualize the situation, get the answer. But
Yes,
Prosperous
ma'am.
Puducherry, you have already answered. Okay, Shruti, you.
Ma'am, have you received any call in that
Huh?
toll-free number, ma'am?
Toll free, I've answered. What is your question?
Have you received any call in that toll-free number, ma'am?
Oh, that itself was prevention. When you make a public saying ये number पे जा सकता है, शिकायत, and LG is asking for it, itself starts as prevention, but it also worked as detection. Because as the numbers started to come and we started to take action upon them, it worked. So it was prevention and detection. And some of these numbers took us to the site to see what's happening. So people felt that they have a lifeline to the lieutenant governor. They have a lifeline to the government and administration. They can tell anything. They can be. But we also said, you make a false allegation, false thing, we trace you. So don't waste our time. I tell you one thing: not single false. Nobody wasted our time. They knew our time was precious. So we got prevention and detection, but we empowered people in the process. That they have a powered line, power line directly to the administration, right? Okay, Bhavini, last line, and then I ask Saina to wrap up. Yes, Bhavini.
Ma'am, when you got the appointment letter from Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, and then you got to know about the opportunity, did you find it as a challenge or a responsibility? And what did make it feel you like that?
Oh, it made me get a sense of fulfillment. I felt I was going to the place where I'm meant for, because I love administration. What is administration? Is serving the people. For me, this is it, where I can be of value, and I love administration because it connects you to the people, and I know how to work with these services because I'm a part of the service cadre, right? So for me, it was a sense of divine grace that it's come and recognize. And I, for the first time, I felt, for the first time in my life, somebody has invited me to say, would you like to go there? All my earlier appointments were go there. It was not go there, it was ordered, posted as IG prison, posted as DCP traffic, posted at till further orders. Nobody ever asked me and called me, would you like to go there? This is the first time the Honorable Prime Minister called me saying, would you like to go there? किरण जी, आप वहां जाना चाहेंगे, और जब जाएंगे तो वहां फिर पैसे का बहुत ध्यान रखना. This is his words. This is the opening chapter. So I felt that this is something like divine grace, and obviously it's a divine calling, right? Sana, now that we have left with 5 minutes, yeah.
Just one question: which mind to listen between the subconscious and the conscious mind, the duality of mind? Which mind to listen? Just last question.
Oh, there's always a better choice if your intention is good. If you're looking for the right answer with the right intention, with the right purpose, you'll choose a better thought. Why would you choose laziness over activity? Why? If you want a result. So you will not choose laziness, you will choose proactivity and energy, right? Okay, Saina, yours. Thank you.
Himanshi, we don't live a life of regret. So just don't live a life of regret.
Right, ma'am.
Just don't live a life of regret. Yeah.
Okay, Saina, then we do a summing up.
So today I have 2 summing ups to do. I am with Ma's Kripa and Mummy's permission. I will share my thoughts, what I absorbed from all that you said to the youngsters. Sir is talking about leading yourself first. Your first duty is to lead your own self first. So define, what does it mean to lead your own self first? He has spoken about honest clarity. That's the most important factor in leading yourself first. Do not live a life of regret. Heart is a very sacred space. The head and the heart have to move in harmony. They can't be going in 2 different directions. Power is who you are. It's not what's given to you. It's who you are as a person. And that comes from leading your own self. Leading your own blueprint, your own karmic blueprint. Leadership is an attitude. Leadership is an attitude. It's the way you look at life. Being true is a purpose in its own self. I will be true. You have to be true. I will be true. You have to be true. That's the purpose of life. That's why life is given to us, to be true. To be true. So that was my humble.
Thank you very much.
I felt. Now.
Now what?
Fearless governance. I want to start with this. We had to read 2 chapters, but I stopped here for a while. Fearless governance. need a very strong, true life to be, जो आपको हक देता है कि आप ये टाइटल को स्टैम्प कर सको. उनको हक है ये टाइटल को स्टैम्प करने का. उन्होंने वो हक कमाया है. Fearless governance is a stamp. वो हक कमाया है. The word fearless, निडरता, आई कहाँ से? मेहनत से, ईमानदारी से, राइटियसनेस से, क्लैरिटी से, कॉन्फिडेंस से और समझदारी से. She prepared for her work. She read. She walked. She worked. So it's all of that adds to the word fearless. So for me, I had to stop at the title first for a while. I did not make notes because I wanted to flow with how the conversation was coming. So I might exceed a minute today.
No, you will not.
I just need
Another one.
When this picture, when she was asked, ma'am was asked to, and I wrote, leadership is an attitude. It's the way you think and then the way you conduct yourself. This note I made. It's not about the size of the position. It's about the size of what you bring to that position. It's not about the size of the position. It's what you bring to the position.
Thank you.
So she started. वो जब शुरू में गए, जब वो गवर्नर नहीं थे, she heard an inner voice, go visit Raj Niwas. Her journey was taking her there. When ma'am entered the governor house.
1 minute only more, because we have to wrap up.
Yes, I'm done with chapter 1.
Yeah, we take chapter 2 next time.
Yes, she stood in front of the statue of Lord Varaha and asked, was it to fulfill a divine calling? I wondered, she said. I accepted the responsibility with reverence, sensing a divine design. I resolved to make it everything. And she gave it her all.
So basically, I think I would say in the book, that's if somebody was asking me, and I'm closing with this while thanking Rajiv Pishavria and all of you. One thing, when you want something for maximum, give it everything. So whatever you are now, youngsters moving towards UPSC examination, CA examination, your BSc, whatever subjects you're choosing, give it everything. And you will get everything. You give less, you get less. You give everything, you get everything. To the Pondicherry, somebody asked me the other day, could you have done more? I said, no, I gave it everything. Somebody didn't tell me to give it everything. My heart demanded it, that I'm now responsible for a territory, for its people. I must give it everything. What I get in return is not the issue. I got a lot of hostility but it didn't matter. It didn't come in the way, because I was giving it everything, and it was my duty also to give it everything. And I fulfilled my duty out of love, respect, and regard for that place. So friends, this is what fearless governance is. This is the message of the day. Today, when you want something, give it everything. Rajiv, what's your feeling about this program in the end?
Absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. We could go on and on for hours, but I think we have to respect the time. Thank you for inviting me.
Good. And we will be putting this on the YouTube. The Demonstrative Learning team will make little snippets out of it. And you youngsters will stay connected with the group. We'll be forming another group of you youngsters. Right? Thank you very much once again.
Bye-bye. Sir, thank you. Sir, thank you so much. Thank you for bringing this joy. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Pleasure. Great
Thank
honor.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Lots of love to my yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
A lot of love to our young girls. A lot of love to all of you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jai Hari Ma. We
Thank
meet
you,
you
ma'am.
next Friday.
Thank you.